evening, friends. We are Friday afternoon, 5:26 in the afternoon. Beautiful day, been a lovely day out, a bit cold but beautiful. And new projects, and a very easy one. I got a guy rung me this week, a little bit distraught. I bought his guitar off eBay, he says, 2019, is it 2019? 2019 Gibson Les Paul Traditional. There it is, absolutely beautiful looker, lovely weight to it, and he says, it buzzes everywhere. I just got off eBay, blah blah blah. So I rushed him in, got put him on the emergency list, Wednesday emergency list. He rung me Tuesday, got him in Wednesday. And says, no, it's not a bad guitar. I says, you've got one eye fret. That's it. That's causing all your problems. That's why it's all buzzing everywhere. It's got one eye fret up its top end somewhere. Says, I'll sort that out. Doesn't particularly need a setup. Everything looks pretty good. I checked the setup. Didn't charge him for checking it. Everything looked right. The action looked right. The amount of relief in my neck looked right. The intonation's pretty bang on. I says, but I don't like the nuts on these. That nut is a piece of handmade bone substitute, a bit like Tusk or Graphtec, one of Graphtec Tusk nuts there. I says, it could be graphite or some kind of composite. I says, I'd love to see a bone nut on there. So he said, can you put one on? I says, yeah, I'll put you one on. So I'm going to stick him a bone nut on there, and I'm going to sort that one fret out. And that is it. And it's not going to cost him a lot. I'll get a little mini setup in there. It's going to cost him 60 odd quid. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I don't remember which fret it is. I'm just going to quick scoot across now. It's just one fret high. And I'll knock it in with a mallet first. Just tap it in gently to make sure it's seated right. And that's the one there, I think. Oh, is it? No, it's not. Whichever it is, it might be a little bit lower down. It might be towards the 12th fret somewhere. I can't find it at the moment. I'll get it. I'll find it when the strings are off. But we've got one high fret knocking about somewhere, so I says we'll sort that out. And I'm going to hand carve a bone nut. Full of black. It's something I normally charge 55 quid for a brand new nut, cut from the bone blank. I've got blanks basically cut to size. I need to shape it down, need to thin it a bit to fit the gap. These are probably a millimetre wider than the one that's in there. So I'll need to shape that. Plenty of material on there, so I'm going to cut a new nut and get it fitted. That's it. Really simple one, beautiful looking guitar. If I was buying a Gibson Les Paul, this is the kind of buy. Tobacco sunburst with a flame maple top. I'll go for a better grade flame maple than that though. That's nice, but it's not a scratch on my hammer. It has a quadruple quality flame maple top. But lovely guitar, I love the weight of this. Right up my alley, nice heavy guitar like that, looks fantastic. I'll be quite pleased with this. He told me what he'd paid for it. I think it was £1,300, which I thought was pretty respectable nowadays. You could get them a year ago for about 1,100 quid, but it was shot up in price. I think 1,300 is round about right for these. So yes, I've been looking forward to doing this one. Not a lot of work. I will get the strings off. We'll take a nut out. The hardest thing about this job is taking this nut out without damaging anything, because it is behind, you can't see from there, but it's behind the veneer on top of the headstock. So we need to get that out, chip it out nice and steady without breaking anything. We have to get a blade on there, cut through the lacquer, because I've knocked these out before and end up chipping the headstock, and it's cost me £200 to get it repaired, because I can't do paint here, so don't want to be doing that. I may cut it in half along this way. Straight across it, straight down the middle, and collapse it in on itself. That's normally the best way. Making sure I've cut around the lacquer all around the edge so we don't chip anything on these edges. We wouldn't want to do that on a guitar looking like this, but that's it, really quite simple. So I'm going to crack on and give you an update in a bit. The nut came out really quite easily. I just cut across this lacquer here, managed to get a screwdriver above the lacquer, just on the nut. I don't mind breaking the nut, so I just got it on the nut and I just managed to tap it out using my fretting hammer, and basically it came straight out. It's come out nice and clean. There is a little bit of lacquer bubbling just here, but once I drop some super glue in that, it will completely disappear. tiny bit there. It's always a possibility. I did mention to the owner of the guitar that could possibly happen, but that is absolutely fine. The fret in question is up at this end. In fact, there's 2 frets. It's fret 14, fret 14 this side and fret 15 this side. Just got a slight rock on each, so we're going to alter those. Just file straight across, spot level them, recrown them. Not even going to bother filming that. The nut slot itself here is beautiful and clean. Sorry about the light, by the way, we are getting to dusk. I'm just about to wrap up in here anyway. But I've got that ready for the new nut. I'm not going to cut or shape anything tonight now. I've decided I've had enough for today. It is it's 5:53. I think closing at I normally close at 5 o'clock on a Friday, so it's getting on towards 6 now, so I am done. Good morning, friends. I do apologise for the sound of the engine outside. My car is running and clearing the windscreen as believe it or not, on the 27th of April, year of our Lord 2021, and it snowed last night and there's ice all over my car. Amazing. But anyway, back to the topic in question, the nut for the guitar. Because I don't have a belt sander, I have to hand file and sand my nut to size, and it takes a while. I've got some 80 grit sandpaper and a really coarse file there, and it takes me about 30 minutes to sand a normal blank down to the right thickness. These are the same piece of bone, these are the same thickness from the same set, and it's just a matter of filing over on the coarse file and filing over on the 80 grit and going all different ways until you remove material. Now these are 6mm wide. I've needed to get this down to 4.7 wide, so I've taken 1.3mm off, and it's now a perfect fit for the guitar. I've marked that side just to know that that's the bottom and that's the bass side. And I'll bring the guitar in very carefully, like so, holding it with one hand, so being very careful, but taking the bass side and the bottom there, it'll just slide in and it just starts to get tight just round about there. So that is a beautiful fitting nut, all ends up, it just fits perfectly. And yeah, takes time, but worth doing. It's the way we have to do it here at Fret Friend. Like I say, I don't have a belt sander. I don't really want to be using power tools in here, even though I had to use a router yesterday and it's really messy, but you know, at least we've got it done, and that's the main thing, and that's why probably I charge a little bit more for carving nuts, because they are hand done and there's still a lot of work to do on that one, and but I'll crack on and get it done. I've already fitted the far side and slightly shaped with a rollover here, so the base is fitted exactly to the contours of the neck, specifically the nut slot. This one is what I call a safe line. This is actually going to, if I cut right on the black line, it's still going to be a little bit wider than I need it. I can finish off with files, and all I'm using here is my Dremel type tool. I have a Black & Decker one with a cutter on there. Quite inexpensive, decent enough piece of kit, and it's going to make a noise, so cover your ears. And if you don't know, bone when you're cutting it stinks. But anyway, that's it, that's cut. That hopefully will be still wide enough. Yeah, absolutely. Just slide it in the slot there, and that is, yeah, we are at least, crikey me, we've got a good millimetre, if not more than we need right there. I can just slightly shape it if I wish, just by using the edge of the cutter or the wrong side of the cutter. Shouldn't be aiming that at me in that direction because I've had these shatter before, so we'll aim it that way. I think that will do. The rest I will do by hand. I'll just have a look again at the guitar. Yeah, that is beautiful. I am yeah, at least a millimetre over there. So what we'll do is we'll remove the small Stumac vise, put it away, and I can go back to my trusty file holder, which I've cleaned up, wire brushed. This is one I did the bow knot on earlier. Always clean your files after use. And there you go, and that's in the vise. This is you buy it as a pattern maker's vise, it's actually a guitar builder's vise. And there you go, that's in there, it's levelling off, and I can now grab the knot and just keep checking it against the guitar and just start shaping. I can't go wrong with this because the top on the treble side is already curved at the top, so I know that's the bass. It's just a matter of me getting it close to shape, and I'll just keep checking it on the guitar. Once I get really close, I'll move over to a finer file. I've got at least a millimetre to remove off that, so I'm going to crack on, get it all shaped up. Once it's shaped up, we'll sand it smooth, polish it, and we'll stick it in the nut slot on the guitar. So I have a nut cut to shape. You'll see a black line on the back there, and that's so I can identify which end is which, because both sides are rolled over, both sides fit perfect, and I need to know which is the back side because I will be angling it down slightly toward the headstock, at the headstock angle. And what I need to do, I'm going to glue this in now, but I'm not going to go mental on my glue. I'm just going to put a drop in there just to hold it in place. I need to make sure that these sides match right up to the edge and don't overlap. Certainly don't underlap, and it is just the perfect width. So it's precision cut. And now I'm thinking, rather than dab glue on there and try and put it in and move it about before it sets, I'm going to just wick some in this end here with a fine tip. And I'm really pleased with how that feels. That is superb. So rather than have to faff about and move it left and right, I'm going to leave it exactly where it is. And I'll show you what I mean by wicking. We're going to stick on a fine tip. I have loads of these. Buy them in bulk. I had to buy these from somewhere in Europe. And they're a tip that goes on the end of your super glue. And it's a very fine point on the end, to the point where sometimes they do clag up. We just have to break a little bit of the old glue off there. And to test, we just blow it through. And if I can feel it on my hand, I know that glue is going to come through if air does, and air does come through. So totally stuck my lid of my glue pot. So I thought, that's alright, I've got it loose. It's just a matter of this is just getting it on your glue pot. This is really runny CA glue, and all I'm going to do is just drop a tiny drop here right in the centre. Like there's a knot, and it should wick itself straight through without spilling anywhere. And I've just put a little dab in there. And that should be fine. A little tiny bit on my fingerboard. It's not, of course, anything that you're going to see. And that is it, and that is now fixed. There you go, that is now stuck, it's not going anywhere. And the nut is fitted to the guitar. We did have a little bit of chip in here. I did mention that I want to take the nut out. No big deal. And that nut is fitted. So that's it, all I've got to do now is line up the slots, get the slots cut, shape the top, and it will be good to go. Marking the nut slots, I have 2 fret markers, and these space your strings out perfectly. All you need to do is you need to line everything up. So the 2 outside ones, where are we? Here. Right about here. Get on a minute. You need to line your 2 outside strings. I think the best thing you can do is line up the nut and check that. This is a better one to use. This has got spacings And what you do is the spacings aren't equal, they're not meant to be equal, because you do it to the centre of each string. You've got thicker strings at this end, thinner at this end. Now on this one, for instance, I just lay that over the top, measure, do the outside 2 strings and the 4 in the middle, just line up perfectly, and you just mark with a pen, like I have done. So we're going from this marker, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strings. That's your outside marker, that's your outside marker, and all the others are lined up exactly where we need to be. Just take a pen, just mark them off. Once you've marked them off, you want to take something like, well, you want to take something exactly like a piece of chamois leather, which I've always got knocking about in the workshop. Just lay that over, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut along these slots just to start the nut off. And I will take the thinnest one. I don't use these for cutting nut slots anymore because they cut a V more than a U shape, but I do use these just for marking the slots. And the reason we have that around there is we don't want to dig into the fingerboard, or if we slip, the headstock. So all we're going to do with this is just make the first cut, and again with the other one, and we're just going to start these off. We're not going to any great depth, just going to start them off so we know where to place the file when we cut the nut slots proper. And now we're all started off, I can take the correct nut file out of here, my major Hosco set. These cut a perfect U shape, for instance, but I've got a starter on everything. Say for instance, the bass, or the lower string, this is going to be an E, or the bass E should say, is at 0.046. So what I'll do is, I've already done the marker with the 10 where I need that one to be cut. I'll turn it over, go on the fatter side, which is a 36. I know I'm in the right place, and then I'll take my 46 and I'll start cutting the fret slot. And I can't go wrong because I already know where it needs to be cut because I've marked it out, and there you go. And I've started to cut my first slot for the fattest string. I'm using a 1046 set, or I will use a 1046 set. And that's already cut. I know I'm not gone too deep because I've not gone deep enough, I can tell by looking at it, but I'm going to mark, I'm going to get these all cut to the correct width. We'll lay some strings in there once we're getting close to where I need to be. Now I do have a brand new device from Stumac, which I've never used. I've not even opened it. And this is a nut slotting jig type affair. I'm going to get some scissors, I'm going to open it up, and you're going to see it for the very first time, as am I. I got 90% of my tools from Stumac now. Anyway, this is a kit, and we'll lay that under there, and we'll put some bars under there, and we can't cut the nut too deep because we set gauges and thickness Ujima flops, and that way we can't cut the slots too deep. I'll set this up in a bit because I haven't had a look at this, I haven't had a look proper myself yet, so I've got no hecking idea. But what we're going to be doing is you get some there's loads of bits you get with gauges and all sorts. Just gubbins here, feeler gauges. Not even opened them up. Never even been inside them. This came a couple of weeks back. Spend so much money on tools. Spend all my money on tools. But what we do with this is we're gonna get some rough idea of what height we're gonna need. Say for instance I need, if these are 1.1 high and I need a 0.3, I need to get a 1.4 feeler gauge. So I would find something in here. See, these are all in, these are non-metric, so I don't know what I'd be looking for. I'm going to find out, I'm going to get a conversion chart, find out which I need. I mean, I could get my own. Bear with. I've not planned this out, I never planned this out, I'm working live. This is live workshop scenario. Let me just put the main light on. Just a bit more light. Zoom out a little. So I'll take something like, I'm looking for 1.3. I could take a 0.8 and a 0.5 or a 0.7 and a 0.6, for instance, like this, with my feeler gauges. That gives me the correct height I'm going to need. And I'll stick this gubbins on here and these through here, that there, and then I tighten this clamp underneath, bend it round as you do. That's going to bend to the radius of the neck. Look at that, you see. Put it up to the nut. And I can't cut them slots too deep because that's there and that's bent round, and when I'm cutting the slots with my file, I've got that there. So there you go. So a live scenario there. You've seen me do something that I've not done before. So that's that gubbins, and that's how that works. That's not the proper. I'll use the American feeler gauges when I've got all my measurements set out, but that's how that thing works. That's cost me about, oh, it's cost me 40-50 quid, I think. But that will stop me cutting too deep. You get the idea. I'll set that up proper later. Yeah, that's the gubbins. You don't want to over radius it because it's going to pop up in the middle. That's slightly over radius there. But yeah, do you like that? I like it very much. So there you go. Not that I cut too deep anyway, but that's that little gadget. I might have wasted 40-50 quid there. I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to use it. But I'll work that out. I'll put that out of the way for now. We'll have some fun with that later. But anyway, that's how I'm going to cut the slots. If I went to the next one, for instance, now we always clean our files. I could use a steel brush, but I'm going to use just a workshop brush here because this keeps them sharp. Keen-eyed among you'll notice I've got my shorts on already. I'm in shorts. We're only March. What do you think to that? So I'll show you the next one. So that's a 46. We'll just whiz that back there. See what we've got knocking about. There's a 36 right there, look. So the 36. So the next one again. We mark this with the 10. So I'm just going to slightly open the slot up. Going to flip it over. This is a 36 anyway, so this is going to go as a start. And then I'll take my really good files. These are Hosco again, but these are much, much better. And again, I should have the headstock covered up, but I'm not going to slip. And that's it, and that's how we'd crack on and start cutting our slots in the nut. And we'll do the same for the next one. We'll use a 28, 26, 28. That'll be a 17, that'll be a 13, and that'll be a 10. So that's exactly how that works. And I'll cut them, not cut them to exact depth yet, but we're getting close. Just so I can get strings on, and we'll cut them to, once we cut the depth, once we've gone right, it will reshape the top of the nut and shape it while it's on the guitar. So I'm going to crack on with that. It's quite a lot of work. It's why I charge so much for it. You know, but yeah, that's looking fantastic. So you get how we do it, and I'll come back and show the results in a bit. There's no point me doing the nut and getting it ready for strings when I've still got the frets to do. So these two frets here, we're just going to check again with the fret rocker. And we just need a little bit of work, so I'm going to be taking my number 4 cut Swiss file by Valorbe. This year's fantastic. Number 4 cut, super smooth but very sharp. Lovely, lovely file. And normally I tape the frets up so in case I slip with the file I put a scratch in the fingerboard, but I'm not going to do that. I'm experienced enough not to do that. And this file is very, very sharp. So they're Swiss made, look. Swiss made by Valorbe. Now fortunately these aren't precision straight, but fortunately I got one with one precision straight edge there. So I'm also able to use this to level frets that way, but I'm spot leveling these two because I don't need a lot of material removing. So I'm just going to basically just steady it with my fingers here, so we're nice, we're horizontal. I'm just going to follow the radius. And we're removing hardly anything. We're just going to follow the radius. And we're just going to check. And that is as much as that needed. 4 or 5 strokes. And that is beautiful. Check one back, one forward to make sure everything else is alright. And that's it. And all we're going to do, take the crowning file, the Z file, StewMac Z file, and we're just going to a couple of scoots across. This one will not touch the top of the fret, but it will rebuild that crown. We're hardly touching the fret there. Give it a clean, put it away. And finally, a profiling file, again a diamond file, beautiful piece of work this. Adjust, that's enough, that's as much as we need. Check the fret, one forward, one back, absolutely fine. Move on to the last one. Doesn't need a lot of work again. Wipe the file. Just steady the file. Just a couple. Follow the radius. Just a couple. And that is already level. And there. That one's got a slightly rock now because we remove material from there. That one's slightly high, so we're going to move across to the next one. Do exactly the same. Steady the file underneath. Just a couple of swishes. And we are absolutely bang on. So again, same with the other 2 files. Clean that, that one's finished with. 2 to do. Give it a wipe, give it a wipe. Just a couple, just to make sure we've kept that, maintain that crown. And again here, being careful not to slip. And there. Sometimes we're talking very, very tiny amounts. But a high fret is a high fret. That one cleaned and out of the way. Back in its pouch. Great piece of kit this. This originally, the first one cost me 125 quid because I bought it from a place in Spain. And they charge a little bit more. Not as much as StewMac in America, but that was with no import tax and that, but the postage was quite high, it was a little bit more expensive. And now I get stuff directly from StewMac. I don't care about import tax because I've got one of the accounts where I get free postage, so I just pay what needs to be paid. We're about 90 quid. I think I got that one on offer. So I got about 84 quid including import tax, something like that, and free shipping, which is brilliant. So I buy my tools direct from StewMac now. And import tax, whatever, doesn't matter. Just pay for the best, get the best. That's the way I look at it. So anyway, we're just going to check these frets we've worked on. That's fine. That one, check one forward. Check 2 back on this one because I've also worked on that one. And that's it. Those frets are fine. We just need a little bit of a scoop with a polisher later. But those frets are done. We can put the files away. Well, we'll leave that one. I can leave that one out for a minute. I can take that, put that away because that's finished with. I mean, you may be thinking, is it really worth leveling those 2 frets because hardly anything came off of it? Absolutely worth it. Yes. A high fret is a high fret and it's going to cause problems to everything that's behind it. Anyway, that's done with. Bring this back over here. So again, I'm going to do these frets by eye. I'm not going to use that contraption I bought from StewMac. I will use it in the future when I've got a little bit more time. I'm going to do this all by eye because I know more or less where I need to be. Now once it comes to getting the strings on and shaping the nut, I'll have it over there and I'll have this in the vise. Softly clamped just to hold it steady while I file, because I don't want to file and knocking this left and right. If I'm filing on there, I've got to hold it there and I've got this chance that I'm going to slip. We're not sturdy, I want it on a nice firm base, I want it solid. But just on these ones, I've got all 6 files out ready and I'm going to get them close to where I think they ought to be. I could, if I wanted to, tape up these 2 frets just in case I slip with the file and scratch. In fact, I think I might do that. I'm going to take some thin tape, just some thin masking tape there. I have in the past scratch the odd fret here and there. I don't really do it. It's, you know, I've been doing this job that long, but it has been known, so don't take any, no point taking chances. We'll just mask up a couple of frets, because I am working with sharp files. You don't want to be scratching frets when you've just, especially when you've just done a refret or fret level or what have you. You slip with a file and you put dents in it, you've got to do the whole lot again. So we're going to go that way, we're going to be careful, and I'm just going to eyeball it, and I want to angle slightly back as well, following the angle of the headstock, because I want the strings to come over the front lip, then drop down a little. And I still know that's too high, but I'm going to stay higher than I need to. Don't want to be able to do this again, do I? And that's that one. Happy with that where it is. Take care of your files, always clean them. Don't let them get all clogged up. No, they're not cheap. I think this set was 125 quid. Should last me a while. I've had all sorts of sets of some right crap. These things, oh chickies, come highly recommended, supposed to be stainless steel. Absolute rubbish. Lasted me about 5 or 6 refrets and that were it, went blunt. Absolute garbage. I've not wrote to the company yet. I bought them well over a year ago now. I don't think I'm going to get any joy out of that. Certainly not going to get the money back. But I won't buy them again. That's looking pretty good. Quite happy with where that is. Certainly don't want to go any lower yet. I've not charged for a setup. I will not be setting this guitar up. The setup was pretty good, that's why I'm not charging for one. But because of that, I'm not going to be reconditioning the fingerboard or polishing the frets. I'll polish the frets I've worked on, but that's as far as it goes. Just checking how deep we are with that one. Okay. They tried to angle this, but it kind of didn't want it. Told me no. So to make do with that as it is, it's got a little bit of an angle. Very, very nice looking guitar. This is a 16 where the string will be 17, so I like to just slightly angle this, and again on that side, just angle it, make it a little bit wider, otherwise the string will try and stick. But I think that is all good enough for everything. I'm almost ready to put strings back on. I'm using the same set of strings that came with it. There's a brand new set of strings on. So that's all fine, get rid of that. Didn't need it on there, it's just, you know, if there's any people who are new to the job, you know, it's a good idea, you can do that. I'm going to grab a Fingerboard Guard, because I'm going to be finishing these couple of frets here. I'm only going to go with steel wool. Let's, before we get any steel wool out, let's cover these pickups. Pickups being magnetic, we don't want to get any filings in there. We'll cover the whole pickup. Any filings that do run astray or go astray, we can just brush off. It's not going to get in the pickup there. We've got it all covered. Low tack tape, this Scott's 3M tape. Been using this years on the recommendation of Nigel Roberts, a great luthier who's now retired. Good friend, really nice bloke. There you go. And I'm only working these 1, 2, 3. And that's perfect. Extra fine steel wool, finest grade you can get. And we're just going to basically hold that over straight in there. It's as much polishing as you're going to need. And of course, me being me, thinking I can't just do the 3 I've worked on, I'm going to have to do the rest, aren't I? Because they just stand out, look brilliant compared to the rest, so I'm going to do the rest. Not deep, just get the grime off there. Get the guy's money's worth. Probably what I'm going to do today, this one. I've got another one, I've got a parts caster. It's off Jaguar, with a Telecaster neck. It's been specially built by guys, had the body built, bought a Telecaster neck special. And I'm putting the bridge on it, doing all the electrics. It's got the pickups already in there, the lace sensors. And I'm basically putting it all together. I have noticed it's not sent any through string ferrules underneath. Fortunately, I think I've got a set of fenders knocking about. So it might have looked out there and I can sell him now. If they fit. Sure they will do. That's my oven beeping, my wife is cooking some food. Just ignore it like I'm going to do. But anyway, last couple of frets and they're all done. I'm going to stop the video because my wife's going to shout me in a minute, I just know it. So I'm going to stop the video here. We're going to move on. We're all ready now to work on the nut. So we're back at this end. I've got strings on. Not stretched them in yet, but you see I've got the strings on. I've got them in the nut. The nut slots are not cut to proper depth yet, but we have got the right positioning. And yeah, it looks absolutely bang on. And we've got a slight angle in the 2 middle ones, just facing slightly towards the tuner, which I like to do. But before I start cutting anything and start cutting these slots to depth, I need to stretch the strings in. Because I want the guitar tuned to pitch and I want it set up proper. Because the last thing we ever do on a setup, well, the last thing I ever do, is when I'm doing a setup, I cut the nut slots last. So when I've got the action set at the 12th fret, I've got the radius and the intonation done on the bridge, got the action right, got the amount of relief right, then I come and cut the nut slots above, and I check the height above the 1st fret. So we're going to stretch strings into pitch, because once we've got all the stretch out of them, we've got all the stretch we need. Just need to do it a couple of times. So remember to do between the bridge and the tailpiece, the nut and the tuner, then the length of the string. Now these, because see we've still got more stretch in there, you see. Because I want all the tension pulling back. I want the guitar set up for playing before we start cutting nut slots. So if the strings aren't tight enough, when you do tighten them, it's going to send everything out of whack again. Now these are old strings, been on my guitar a while, so sure I need to do them a couple of times each. We're just getting them, maybe not be bang on, just close. I love, look at this guitar, it looks fantastic. Paid 1,300 quid for it, I wonder if I can get it off in a couple of years. It's any good. I like it. I'm looking for something like this, around about 1,200 quid. I'd probably like a older one, but this looks the part, doesn't it? You know, always plant a seed, see if it grows. Don't need to stretch unwound strings as much because they don't stretch as much as wound ones. And I don't want to be snapping these. If I had a penny for every time I've snapped a top E in my life. I've never snapped one playing that I can recall. I think I snapped one string once on stage. I've snapped hundreds on them, setting guitars up. A bit heavy-handed, you see. Try and push the limits. So we're in tune to pitch. I'm going to go and get my setup gear. And I'm just going to check the setup. Now I'm looking for numbers here. The numbers I'm looking for are, relief wise, 7th fret, 0.25 millimeters. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to check the relief. Not straight edge, upside down, let's get right road. Right road, so not straight edge, and notches go over the fret, so it's exactly what it says on the tin, straight edge with notches. And we're just going to check the relief. And like I say, round about 0.25 millimeters at the 7th fret, 6th or 7th fret, round about here, 6th fret I normally measure, between the 5th and 7th. About 0.25, so we're listening for a little touch, a little scrape. Just like that. Not just like it, exactly like that. So we've got the right amount of relief. Now relief is underbow, like a smiley shape from here to here. Very, very slight underbow, like a smile. 0.25 millimeters here. That's perfect. The next thing I'm looking for is the space between the top of the fret and the bottom of the string. Now on the treble side I like to be 1.5 millimeters, and on this side 1.75 millimeters. So we don't need to use feeler gauges, we use a string gauge. We'll stick this underneath and have a look. I need this guitar on my lap to do this. So I'm just going to check the action at the 12th fret, and we are just under 2 mil on the bass side, that's fine, and just over 1.5 on the treble. That's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine, 2 mils perfect. So I'm happy with that. Now the reason it's going to be higher here and higher there, we're just over 1.5 and we're just on 2 millimeters. We've still got to cut the nut slots. So when we cut these and these drop down, the string's going to drop here and it's going to bring this action down. So that's why I like to be a little bit over on the 12th fret. So with the amount of relief set, the guitar to pitch, to tension and pitch, a little bit high on the 12th fret, we're now going to cut the nut slots to the right depth for the positions over the 1st fret, or the height of the 1st fret. So again, numbers. On the bass side I like a gap. This is top of the fret to the bottom of the string. On the bass side I like 0.3 millimeters, and on the treble side 0.2 millimeters. We can go lower, but that's always a great starting point. This is how I've always cut my nut slots. So we're going to have a look at the low E, and we are way over 0.3. You'll notice I've not shaped the nut yet. Shaping comes last. We're going to cut the nut slots, and we are here, my goodness, we're about 0.7. So I'm not going to loosen anything. I'm going to take the 46. Now you notice now I've not got anything covering the headstock, so I'm going to be very, very careful. I've got no tape on the frets, so I'm going to be very, very careful. So I have a cloth or a rag to wipe my file every time I use it. And I'm going to cut these nut slots. Not only am I going to cut right depth, I'm going to actually angle this back as well. So be a little bit gung-ho when you've got a long way to go, but don't go mental, because if you go too deep you'll be replacing that nut, and you've seen how much work I've put into it. It's not a 2-minute job, it takes ages. Still way high there. So now we're going to cut into the front part of the nut. Angle back slightly and go back and check again. I know we've cut a slot in there because we're now flat. Keep bringing it to pitch, keep measuring. We get in there, clean your file, keep your guitar steady. Again, angle back first, come in and go level. We're getting close to where we need to be. Again, string in, press it in, make sure it's in proper. Just buzz in. I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean the slot. I'm not going to cut any deeper. I'm going to clean the slot. So we've got the correct sized file, 0.046 inches, which is a 46, which is how you measure your strings. The strings are 46. I'm going to turn it over to a slightly sharper side, and all we're going to do is nice and steady, not pressing down now, just nice and steady. Just make sure that slot is nice and open. It is tight, but we have a lovely cut. I'm not cutting into it, just moving it backwards and forwards just to make that slot nice and smooth. And that string should sit in there snugly, not too snug. It is going to work all the way down. We'll put a tiny little bit of Vaseline or something down there later on, but that is it. So 0.3 millimeters, that's the top of the fret to the bottom of the string. I just want to hear a slight buzz with this. Perfect. Now I'm going to do this one. I want to hear more of a buzz than that. Now I don't need to remove a lot of this, it's quite close. So we're going to clean the file. It's a long video, isn't it, just for cutting a nut? It's not a long video, okay? I hope you're going to learn something out of this. Now I do put a disclaimer on all my videos now, saying that these are not how-tos, they're not instructional, because I only make these videos for the client and for my records. So these are client videos. If you learn something from them, fantastic, but we don't set out to be instructional. But one thing I'm going to do, now we've got that slot right, by the way, is I'm just going to measure the action at the 12th fret because that would have lowered. Now we've lowered that slot. Have a look, see where we are, and that is now exactly at 1.75. In fact, it's just under 1.75, so I'm going to raise that ever so slightly in a short while. But we're going to move on to the next string. So the next string, the 0.036, I'm going to want this less than 3, but I don't have a 0.275 feeler gauge, so I'm going to go with the 3, and I'm going to want more of a buzz. But you can do this by eye. Don't forget, I'm going 0.3 down to 0.2, so we'll be looking at 0.3, 0.275, 0.25-ish, 0.24, 0.22, 0.2. So we're going to gradually just slope down a little bit. Move on to the next file. And you've heard the saying, measure twice, cut once. We're going to measure many times and cut many times. So make sure we've got the 0.3, which we have. Don't need to remove a lot here. So I've got a image in my mind of where I want to be. Again, angle, couple of strokes, and just back. Don't want to remove too much. Tuner is still on. Not pushing yet. I've already cut as much angle as I want to right now, so I'm just going to go horizontally. Turn it over to a sharper side. One more for the angle. I'm always careful of nuts. I've damaged that many, or done that many wrong, cut too deep and had to replace them. I'm very careful of doing it now, so take my time. And see what I mean about measure many times, cut many times. It's guitar work. It takes a long time to cut a nut. You don't have to do another one from scratch. Don't forget, this has all been done by hand. Everything from a blank. The only thing I've not done is I've not actually cut the bone blanks myself. But because I don't have a belt sander or anything, I have to do it all by hand. And that looks pretty low to me. I don't want to go any lower than that. And I'm happy with that. I'm going to get a 0.25. That's probably under 0.25. It's not too low. I can go down to 0.15 if I want to. But I'm definitely not going to go any lower than I've just gone with that. That's fine. Move on to the next one. Gone a little bit lower than I wanted to, but it's not going to cause a problem. It's going to be absolutely fine. I want to go to about 0.25 on the next one, maybe a little bit lower. Again, this is pretty much close to where it wants to be, so no great shakes with this one. It's not going to be a lot of work. I'll come slightly at this angle. Angle down, and I think we'll find that that's going to already be there. Yep, we're there. I'm going to whip it down to 0.2 now. We're going to go from the other side. Perfect. That one's just about where I need it anyway, the next one, but I'm going to go just a tiny bit lower. So you see how this is all working. I'm actually going to film everything. You're going to see the whole lot. Need to be careful. Like I say, my measurements 0.3 to 0.2 are very conservative. We could always go quite a bit lower. Go down to 0.1 here, probably 0.175 this side. So if we get to about 0.2 around these two, it's not a problem. It's just a little bit lower than I meant to go. But like I say, doing this job is quite easy to go too deep, too far. So this file is slightly not as wide as the string. It's a 0.016. Where the string's an 0.17, so we need to go slightly wider, so we just do angle it a little bit. What I'm going to do is first I'm just going to go a couple of strokes just for the level. I'm not going to go any more than that. One at the angle, and I'm just going to flip it. I'm going to go slightly at an angle and just give it a swipe, give it a swipe, and that's about as much as I want to go on that. And we're just going to check it. So 0.2 of a millimetre. I'll do me. To the next one, 0.013. And what have I done with this little? Now remember, we've still got to shape the nut. It's not shaped how I want it yet. It's still high. I've got to angle it back. I've got to shape everything. So once this is all done, I'm going to take the strings back off. We're going to go over to the other bench and we're going to carve this nut. We're going to angle it back and we're going to round it over and we're going to polish it up with sandpaper. So this one, let's check again. Don't need a lot of work on this one either. Just a couple of strokes. angle back. Slightly pinching, so we're going to widen that slot just a gnats. Not deep enough yet either. Just going to go in at a slight angle there, and again there. The thinner strings are always the most difficult to do. Still not deep enough. Can get a little bit eerie because you're thinking, oh, don't go too deep. If you go too deep, you're replacing it. That's the last thing you want to do. Right, it's not pinching anymore. I think we'll be there with this. It's enough for me. And my last one, you can go a little bit higher with this one, back to toward 0.2324 again, because it's a thin string. And you don't want it too close. You cut that too deep, you imagine knackering the knot just because you cut the last one too deep. I've done it before. It's just make you a little bit angry. It certainly did me. Some expletives flying around the room there, some F's and Jeffs. Right, last one. Again, measure. Okay, I know where I want to be. This one again over the side of the guitar. Don't need to go gung ho. This may seem like it's not cutting sometimes, this 10, but it will be. Very, very flimsy. You've got to be really careful with this. Probably takes a few more cuts than you think, but all being well, we'll be there. Make sure we're pressed in. Miles high. So we need to go a fair bit deeper than that. I could actually go with the 13 on this. I'm not going to. Just going to go at a slight angle just to try and slightly widen this a bit. Getting very close to that 0.2. I'm going to leave it a tiny, tiny bit higher. I'm going to go with it. I've never used this far side of this file. I'm just going to use it because it'll be sharper. I can feel like just pinching in there now. And that's it. It's as much as I'm going, and that should be bang on. Definitely not pinching. And that is the slots cut to the correct depth. Now, we're not finished yet. I've got to shape that knot. So I'm going to loosen the strings again. But what we're going to do first is we're going to check the height above the 12th fret. And then we're going to alter the bridge to where we need it to be. So let's check this side. We are 1.6 mil. and that we're 1.25, and like I said, we don't get the action at the 12th fret until we've cut the nut slot. So what we're going to do is now we're going to raise the bridge slightly, and that's no mean feat with the guitar tuned to pitch. In fact, it's darn near impossible. That's fine. At least the strings aren't pinching. So I'm going to measure again. 1.75. We're about 1.8 on the bass side. Still a little bit low on the treble side. Okay, that's super. We're 1.5 on the treble side and about 1.8 on the bass side. That is perfect. So again, we're going to bring it to pitch. Make sure all the strings are not pinching, they're not. So listen, to hear that? That's good now. So we tune to pitch. String slots are cut to the correct depth. We've got the right amount of relief in the neck. We've got the right action at the 12th fret, right action everywhere else. Intonation I've not checked. I'll check that now. G sharp. G and the E are sharp, the B's a tiny bit sharp. Well, I'm not being paid for this, but I'm going to do it. Just going to alter the intonation. Because it's sharp, I need to move the saddle to the right. Sharp and right are 5 letters. Oh, I can't do any more on there. Well, tough when it's going to stay as it is. I'm not being paid for a setup. I mean, it's close. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny bit out. Close enough? It is a hair out. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. So we have the guitar set up. We know the setup's now right. We've got the action right. We've got the intonation as close as we can get it. We've got the action right, relief right, nut slots cut right. One job left to do, and that is to shape the nut. And the reason we're going to shape the nut is it's a big fat block of bone, and we need to shape it down and angle it back. And there is the nut, brand new nut, hand carved. But like I say, we're going to shape it at this end, because it's just a big block, a big rectangle block, and we're going to angle it back that way, and we're going to shape it over here. So again, strings off, not off. I'm going to loosen them and hang them over the side. We'll get a string holder underneath. Going over to the other bench. I'm going to do this all off camera, because we all know now the setup's fine. Just need to shape that nut, get the strings back on, stretch the strings, tune it up, and we will be done. And that's it. Back soon. Here we are, all done. And not a great amount of work, but again, time consuming. It's took me, I've had 3 hours on this guitar. All I've really done is cut a nut from a bone blank, fitted it, shaped it, and I've altered 2 or 3 frets at this end. That is it. I've also fiddled a little bit with the setup, set the intonation on a couple of strings, a couple of bits I'm not being paid for, but you know, you got to get it right. So there you go, there's a new nut, I've already shown it, looks fantastic, beautifully shaped. See if I can get it close without knocking it. Really pleased with how that's gone, fitted superbly. Looks brilliant. I love fitting bone nuts. There's a lot of work because obviously my nuts come as 6mm blanks and this is about 4.7mm, so I've got to hand cut 1.2mm off there. But yeah, lovely guitar. Couple of tiny little knocks in a couple of areas, but nothing to worry about. Really good thing. Is it worth 1,300 quid? Yeah, absolutely. Of course it is. I think it is. I wouldn't mind this guitar myself, this model. It just looks great. I do love the look of it. I don't know what pickups are in it. I would like to think there's a T4, a 498T and a 490R in the neck and 490 in the bridge, but I doubt they are. I bet they're just a set of 490s or 496s or whatever. I do like the 490, 498, 490 set. My favourite Gibson pickup, the 498 bridge. But I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't mind this myself. Really, really nice looking guitar. But that is it. I've done what needed to be done. I've charged him 65 quid. I charged £55 for a blank nut, shaped and fitted anyway. A couple of extras on there. Very nice guitar. I'm going to plug it and have a little play of it in a minute, but that is it. It is all done. So ready to move on to the next one. Just before I do, remind you of our website, facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. There's also fretfriend.co.uk, but that is it. This one's done. I'm going to move on to the next one, which I'm going to start in a couple of minutes actually. So, all done. I'm Victor. I'm your fret friend. Until the next one, God bless you. Be good to each other. And I'll see you in the next one.